Hey guys, welcome back to another Surgical Tech Tips. This is a special family edition version of a Surgical Tech Tip video. We are going to be going over repairing some stuffed animals with some leftover expired suture from the hospital and some broken needle holders and forceps.
Why broken things?
Because I can't take actual real stuff from the hospital. That would be stealing. And stealing is bad.
Olivia just did it. No, I did not! I'm gonna put water on your head.
Alright, so to start this video off, I wanted to take you through a couple of stuffed animals that have already been repaired. This is the Pusheen Cat, and he was repaired right here on his little underarm. I repaired that a while ago. I did some interrupted stitches in him.
That was in the summertime.
Yep, that was in the summertime because I had to repair him. This is my son's little Ducky. He's had this little duck since he was born, and he kind of had a beakectomy and
Please don't laugh, it's embarrassing. I love him too much.
He is a great ducky. He's pretty ragged, but he's a good ducky. But the whole beak was torn off by an old dog of ours, and I was able to just do a running stitch along the whole underside of the beak, and I did a running stitch along the whole top of the beak as well.
Wait, I want to show Ducky's birthmark. He kind of had a
laparotomy down here too, but I was able to sew that together.
That's not his birthmark. This is his birthmark at the top of his head.
Right here. All right, so the specimens that we will be working on today are this fluffy little Pikachu.
Pika. Pika Pika. And Mr. Turtle.
And Mr. Turtle.
He's so torn up. But all we gotta do is flip this over and then just sew it back together with some string or whatever.
Mr. Pikachu here, his arms were torn off, so we're gonna have to redo his arms, and he's got a little hole down here.
And then I also have to repair his hat.
We have Mr. Turtle here. Mr. Turtle is missing an eye, so he's just gonna be Mr. One-Eyed Turtle from now on.
No, we're gonna.
We don't have an eye.
No, we're gonna use a button.
Okay.
And then we have that.
And then we have his shell. We don't have any stuffing for his shell, but
it's okay.
I'm just gonna sew his shell back on so it's completed. And I'm gonna go over all of the proper surgical suturing techniques that I use as an FA. All right, so for the first kind of laceration, we're gonna fix this bottom hole on Pikachu, and I'm going to go ahead and use this Zero Silk PSL. This is a cutting needle. It's only 18 inches long, so it should be enough to do this whole thing and just run a stitch along the hole. I guess first things first, let's talk about how you hold a needle holder. You know, we have these two holes at the bottom of the clamp of the needle holder, and a lot of people think to just put their ring finger in and their thumb in one side and kind of use it like this. But when you use it like this, so you're kind of limited in the range of mobility when you have your fingers actually in the needle holder itself. You know, this is pretty much all of the wrist movement you're going to get. But what I was taught when I was going to FA school is that you should actually palm the needle holder. So when you palm the needle holder, you actually have full rotation of your arm, and you can actually flip the needle holder in your hand as well. You have a lot more mobility with the needle holder when you palm it. It takes a little bit of time to learn how to unlock the needle holder, because you have to kind of, you know, press it open with the butt of your thumb here. But once you get used to it, it becomes a much more natural movement and natural way of sewing things. So let's get on to suturing. So the way I start off every single one of the wounds that I close is the first stitch that I always put in is going to be a buried knot. So for it to be a buried knot, I'll start on the side closest to me, and I will go deep to superficial.
I feel like you're gonna rip my stuffy.
Pull this around, and then I will go superficial to deep. Now when I do that, what's going to happen is when I tie this knot, the knot will be underneath this cloth. So when I'm tying it up on a person and actual real tissue, it's burying the knot under the tissue rather than the knot sticking outside the tissue and, you know, causing a person discomfort. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this.
Is it possible to rip that string in half?
Didn't really give myself a lot of room here to tie. And then I'll cut this end off. All right, so now we are anchored down. Now, a lot of the times when I'm closing skin or like a subcuticular stitch, I'll turn this needle around backhand. I'll hold the stitch up, go underneath the knot, and come out of the apex of the incision with the needle, just to bury the knot further and to ensure that, you know, I start my stitch right at the apex of the incision and start my running subcuticular stitch through the entire incision. But since we're working on a stuffed animal here, let's just keep going. So we keep going with deep to superficial, superficial to deep. All right, now we have finished the stitching. It looks pretty good. I don't really know of a way that I can bury this. Actually, let's see. So I'm going to loosen up this last stitch a little bit. And I'm going to, let me see. There you go, loosen up the last stitch a little bit. Let's see if we can bury this knot. I'm just going to go inside the stuffing there and just grab a piece inside the stuffing. I think that's it. Now to tie this knot, to finish off the knot, a lot of the times on a subcuticular, you do a 2-to-1 knot. So instead of doing the full knot that I did over here at the start, I'm just going to open up the loop and I'm going to pull the string through, and I'm going to pull it through 3 times. 1, that's 2, that's 3, and then I'm going to finish it off by locking the knot by pulling the whole suture through. That locks the knot.
And then you're going to cut it off.
Now before I cut it off, I'm going to get back into the incision, go underneath the knot,
and go, wait, why are you stabbing into his foot?
I'm stabbing into his foot, but what I'm doing there is I'm burying the knot. And now, you don't see a knot.
But you do still kind of see the
completely
stitches.
buried. You still see the stitches, but that's okay.
Now when this guy has another surgery, we can show that he's been tough.
Now the only stitches that we see on Pikachu are just these stitches here. No knot here. No, not here. It's buried and it's buried. Pikachu still looks angry, but I'm happy.
Okay.
And there's Pikachu.
75 centimeters?
75 centimeters, 30 inches long. This is our Ethibond. This is, you know, a kind of a green stitch. Yeah. As you can see, Ethibond is a little green. It's a 0 CT1. So this is a tapered point.
I've already showed them.
Should not be an issue with sewing, but
if it's too small, we can just knot it and then we can start off with the knot.
Sew this up. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna do a purse string stitch around his eye.
Oh wait, wait, before you start, I found a longer one. 90 centimeters.
It's 36, yeah. So for the turtle's eye, I think I'm going to try and show you guys a purse string stitch. A lot of the times, as an assistant, I'll do purse string stitches on like femoral arteries and stuff like that for femoral cannulation, or if we're doing like endo AAAs and stuff like that, I may be doing a purse string stitch. So I'm going to show you that around the turtle's eye. Let's see how it goes.
And then we will be using this one instead to do the turtle's shell because it is 90 centimeters.
No, okay, whatever. So a purse string stitch is essentially it's putting multiple stitches in a circular fashion around the site that you're going to be fixing. So for cannulation in the groin, we are putting in, say, a 22 or a 23 French cannula, and we are basically sticking this giant cannula into a femoral artery, and it's dilating up the femoral artery. After we're done with the procedure, though, there's got to be a way to close that hole. So we put that purse string stitch in there beforehand, and we're able to kind of take both ends of the stitch, pull up on them, and this should close up the hole to stop any bleeding in a femoral artery, but in this case, fix the turtle's eye.
But we're gonna put a button over, that's why we want to fix it, so we can stitch, there's like 4 holes in buttons. So we will use that, and then that will be easier for us to do.
All right, now that the purse string is done around the whole eye, pulling this closed should close off our wound. So I'm going to pull this in a little bit, and let's close it up.
Jeez, that's sharp. It's like a dagger. It's okay, turtle. You can do it. Get through it. I'm just tying a bunch of knots. You're just making him look weird. It's mean. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like it. No, you're cutting him.
All right.
Well, he's pretty fixed.
He's pretty fixed. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the turtle's eye. He's pretty fixed.
He's
The purse string
good.
stitch worked. That's good. I need to postpone this. It looks like I'm running out of stitch, or at least, no, I can probably make it. But we gotta go to a birthday party, so I'll be right back.
Hi, we're back. And we got back a few minutes ago, and instead of just resuming the video, we just finished it off and we just would talk at the end.
Yes.
But Mr.
So,
Turtle is finished!
Mr. Turtle is 100% finished. Can't tell. Simple running stitch around the whole thing.
And it blended in so well, you can't even see it. I can't
Mr.
even see it.
Pikachu, you can see his stitches on the bottom, but that's not bad. He still looks awesome. All the stuffed animals have officially been fixed.
Except for the ones that lost their eye. That's about half of my stuffed animal collection.
So you got to see, how I usually start a stitch, usually like a subcuticular or a subcutaneous, like deep stitch or something like that, where I go deep to superficial, superficial to deep, and then I tie the knot. And when you tie the knot, it automatically buries that knot deep into the tissue.
Are you trying to cut my face?
No, sorry.
You made me fart.
Oh, gross. So you got to see the purse string stitch, which is cool. I actually, hadn't really thought of doing a purse string, and that worked out really, really well on this turtle's other eye. So
Can I go play
you got to
with it
see,
now?
yes, you can go. So you got to see a purse string
Bye.
stitch, and I think
Taking these guys up with me.
I'm gonna actually show.
Played all day.
I have. Get out of here. I have some actual like fake tissue that I'd like to try and do another suture video on, just to see exactly how I do like a subcuticular stitch and how I run it in the skin. So that's definitely something I'd like to do. But I hope you guys enjoyed this fun little family stuffed animal surgical video. Thank you guys, as always, for supporting the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks, guys.